one of the documented instances of Sri Lankan government's war crimes, has come to the fore, with the surrender saga of the Tamil Tiger political leaders and their killings. The Sunday Times' Marie Colvin has this story.
It was a desperate last phone call, but it did not sound like a man who would be dead within hours. Belsingham Nede's son, political leader of the Tamil Tigers, had nowhere to turn, it seemed. "We are putting down our arms," he told me late last Sunday night by satellite phone, from the tiny slip of jungle and beach on the northeast coast of Sri Lanka, where the Tigers had been making their last stand. I could hear machine gun fire in the background as he continued coolly, "We are looking for a guarantee of security from the Obama administration and the British government. Is there a guarantee of security?" Nedes asked. He was well aware that surrendering to the victorious army would be the most dangerous moment in the 26-year civil war between the Tigers and Sri Lanka's Sinhalese majority. I had known Netizen and Savaratnam Puledevan, the head of the Tigers Peace Secretariat, since being smuggled into rebel territory 8 years ago. At the time the Tigers controlled a third of the island. Now these two men were trying to save the lives of the remaining 300 fighters and their families, many of them injured. Tens of thousands of Tamil civilians were trapped with them, hiding in hand-dug trenches, enduring near constant bombardment. For several days, I had been the intermediary between the Tiger leadership and the United Nations, as the army pressed in on the last enclave at the end of a successful military campaign to defeat the rebellion. Nedezen had asked me to relay 3 points to the UN. They would lay down their arms, they wanted a guarantee of safety from the Americans or British, and they wanted an assurance that the Sri Lankan government would agree to a political process that would guarantee the rights of the Tamil minority. Through highly placed British and American officials, I had established contact with the UN Special Envoy in Colombo, Vijay Ambia, Chief of Staff to Ban Ki-moon. I had passed on the Tigers' conditions for surrender, which he had said he would relay to the Sri Lankan government. The conflict seemed set for a peaceful outcome. Puledevan, a jolly, bespectacled figure, found time to text me a smiling photo of himself in a bunker. By last Sunday night, however, as the army pressed in, there were no more political demands from the Tigers and no more photos. Netizen refused to use the word surrender when he called me, but that is what he intended to do. He wanted Ambia to be present to guarantee the Tigers' safety. Once more, the UN 24-hour control center in New York patched me through to Ambia in Colombo, where it was 5:30 a.m. on Monday. I woke him up. I told him the Tigers had laid down their arms. He said he had been assured by Mahinda Rajapaksa, the Sri Lankan president, that Netizen and Puledevan would be safe in surrendering. All they had to do was hoist a white flag high, he said. I asked Ambia if he should not go north to witness the surrender. He said no, that would not be necessary. The president's assurances were enough. It was still late Sunday night in London. I tried to get through to Netizen's satellite phone but failed, so I called a Tigers contact in South Africa to relay Ambia's message. Wave a white flag high. I was woken at 5 am by a phone call from another Tigers contact in Southeast Asia. He had been unable to get through to Netizen. I think it's all over, he said. I think they're all dead. That evening, the Sri Lankan Army displayed their bodies. What had gone wrong with the surrender? I would soon find out. I discovered that on Sunday night, Netizen had also called Roham Chandranru, a Tamil MP in the Sri Lankan Parliament, who immediately contacted Rajapaksa. The MP recounted the events of the next hours. The president himself told me he would give full security to Netizen and his family. Netizen said he had 300 people with him, some injured. I said to the president, I will go and take their surrender. Rajapaksa said, no, our army is very generous and very disciplined. There is no need for you to go to a war zone. You don't need to put your life at risk. Chandranru said Basil, the president's brother, called him. He said, they will be safe. They have to hoist a white flag and he gave me the route they should follow. The MP got through to Netizen at about 6:20 a.m. local time on Monday. The sound of gunfire was louder than ever. We are ready, Netizen told him. I'm going to walk out and hoist the white flag. I told him, hoist it high, brother, they need to see it. I will see you in the evening, said Chandranru. A Tamil who was in a group that managed to escape the killing zone described what happened. This source, who later spoke to an aid worker, said netizen and Puledevan walked toward Sri Lankan Army lines with a white flag, in a group of about a dozen men and women. He said the army started firing machine guns at them. Netizen's wife, Asanhalese, yelled in Sinhala at the soldiers. "He is trying to surrender, and you are shooting him." She was also shot down. The source said all in the group were killed. He is now in hiding, fearful for his life. Chandranu has fled the country after being threatened, the MP says, by the president and his brother. Alison Dempster, for Web News Service.
Although the Tamil Tiger organization is designated as a terrorist group in Sri Lanka, its political wing technically is not, therefore killing these political leaders constitutes a war crime. Richard Anderson, Web News Service, Melbourne, Australia.